Somebody's looking for a fight. I'm not sure if that queen there that we're watching is a virgin, but that's common behavior when there's swarm cells in a colony. The reason the queen is doing that is that draws all of the new emerging queens to her, and then they fight. The one who wins the fight becomes the mother of the hive. And I just transferred 4 frames with queen cells over to this one colony. Sure, plenty of opportunity there to cut some swarm cells out and fix some other boxes, but I don't really need any other queens. So I don't see any reason to keep them separate. So I threw them all in there. I have an old queen in here. That's actually the old queen from this colony. So that tells me, I guess, that this queen here is a virgin. And she's probably the first one to be released. So my plan is to put some bees in this, maybe keep them from swarming by splitting them up like this, and see where it goes from there. You know, it's not too often you get to hear those noises within a colony, but when you do, it's very, very cool to hear in person. So I just wanted to point that out. Keep your ears open when you're making inspections. Your ears can be handy. It isn't just your fingers and your eyes and your nose that you should be using. Also need your ears when you're making inspections. So good day to you folks. Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees, your Central Ohio beekeeper. Been sharing beekeeping videos for 13 years now, so if beekeeping is something that interests you, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Pound that thumbs up button if this is something that you really just enjoy. So this week I harvested a few frames from my Apimaye Ergo kit, and I got them harvested, and you know, I'm going to share some video with you here in a minute of those frames, and I was pretty impressed with how well they held together. But while I was doing that, I only extracted 3 frames. I don't need a whole lot of honey for just myself, and I got an egg customer that's been driving me nuts for my honey, so I pulled a few frames, got some extracted. Egg customer will be happy, and I'll have some for the winter now. Woohoo! But anyway, when I was extracting them frames, I tried a new uncapping tool that my cousin gave me either a year or 2 years ago, and I kind of forgot about it until just this week. And I gave it a try. So check out this uncapping tool, and if it's something you're interested in, it will be linked down in the video description. Trying out this new uncapping tool, and it's working rather well. The way it works here is it's got a guide, and you take these teeth, you stick them down underneath the cap, and then this rests on top of the cap, and you just drag it along. Does a super good job. I'm gonna leave a link down below if this is something you're interested in. Works very, very well. So yeah, pretty slick tool. I was really amazed at how easy the cappings came off those 3 frames I harvested. From there, those frames went straight into my 9-frame max extractor and were extracted. And I got just shy of 10 pounds of honey from 3 frames, so not too bad. They weren't completely full frames of honey. What I did is I went to the colony, looked for frames that were pretty much all capped, and then I harvested those. So it only took 3, and like I said, they were half frames. And you should be able to tell that by this video here. Check this out. So I just stole a couple frames from the Apimaye colony here, and went and extracted them. This one here is one that had the wax wired foundation in it. Held up very, very well during extraction. I was kind of concerned whether the frame would split back apart, but they've got it glued together well enough that everything held together really well. So here's one of the frames that has the plastic foundation in it. And you can see it held up very, very well too. So by giving it right back to the bees, and I just took these frames an hour ago, they'll be able to go right back to storing nectar in them, and that's what I want. But I wanted to do why I had them out, show what they look like and how well they held up during extraction. That'll give me a little bit of honey, and I'm good with that. Let the bees keep the rest. So if you took a close look at those frames, you could tell that I didn't uncap the full frame, and it wasn't honey all the way down. Like half the frame down was capped, the other half didn't have nectar in it yet. So those are the frames I took, and it worked out really well for me. I used my honey refractometer the other day, and it came out at just shy of 18%. So what I want to do this morning to finish this video off is I want to walk around, not just here. I'm going to get some different clips of different plants in bloom to help out some of you new beekeepers. What are you looking for? What should my bees have out there? What are they working? So we'll start right here in my bee yard with my little pollinator flower garden. And from there we'll branch out probably up to the farm a little bit and get some video. And then we'll close this video off. So I hope these plants are helpful to you. So this is a pretty obvious one here. This is coneflower. A lot of people plant this for their bees, and it does spread really, really well. After these petals fall off, if you take these seed pods and break them up and scatter them around your property, you'll be done the pollinators a huge, huge favor. So what we got here, this is milkweed, and you can see it's all went to seed. It is done blooming for the year. This is a plant that I talk about every year at this time, and this is called wing stem. And you can tell wing stem by the stem. If you look at it, there's almost wings or veins running the length of the stem on wing stem, and that's how I got its name, wing stem. We'll pull it down here and take a close look at it. That's what wing stem looks like. Okay, so now we'll come right around here. Here's another plant a lot of people are seeing this time of year, and a lot of people do not like this plant. This is your common ragweed, not to be confused with giant ragweed. And I'll get a video clip here of some giant ragweed at the farm. But that's what ragweed looks like, and bees do work it a little bit. They seem to prefer the giant ragweed over the common ragweed. And that's really all I see right in this area that's going to be beneficial to you. So we'll cruise up to the farm and finish this video off, folks. Okay, giant ragweed. This plant is every bit 10 foot tall, folks. I'm going to bend it over here so you can get a close look at these leaves. This is what the leaves look like on giant ragweed. And here is the flower. So it's a very unique plant. Bees do like this, and you know, believe it or not, so do grazing livestock. That plant there has just as much good to it as clover, at least for livestock. Giant ragweed, folks. A lot different than the common ragweed, which wouldn't be more than a foot, maybe 2 foot off the ground on the stem of that giant ragweed. So this plant is called ironweed, and most of it here on our farm is starting to die out. You can see the leaves on it are turning yellow and brown. This plant's almost done, and I don't see a whole lot of bees work it in my area unless there's just nothing else in bloom. And that's not the case here on our farm. This little flower is pretty common on roadsides, and it's called chicory. Usually the bloom closes up once it starts to get direct sun. On cloudy days it'll remain open most of the day for our bees to work. This is a very common pollinator plant. This is called jewelweed. This is the orange jewelweed. You can also find yellow. The jewelweed is a very interesting plant, and actually it's got some honeybees right here working it. And what's interesting about the jewelweed is when the bee enters these blooms and then backs out, the flower leaves a white line down the forehead of the bee. We'll see if we can see it here on this bee when she comes out. Don't know how well you got a chance to see that, so what I'll do is I'll slow that footage down and we'll take a look at the bee as she backs out of the flower. So jewelweed, this is a great plant to combat poison ivy. If you've touched any kind of poison ivy, poison sumac, jewelweed works really well for fighting the infection of those plants. So jewelweed, keep that in mind. Our bees love this plant. This is the infamous smartweed that I love so much. And it can get as high as really knee high. I do want to mention that there is this pinkish color of smartweed and there is a white smartweed. And it usually grows in a large patch like you can see here. It's spread all the way down from the creek bed all the way up through here. And this is the plant a lot of us beekeepers are waiting to bloom. And this is goldenrod. You can see it's not fully open yet. But this is what it looks like, folks. And usually it grows in large quantities. If there's one plant, there's usually 5, 6, 20, couple hundred right along with it. So that's this week's video, folks. I hope it's been informative to you. I hope I've taught you at least one thing today. And if so, then I feel I accomplished something. So hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you take a second and do that and click on the little bell so you get notified when I release new videos. And we'll see you back here next Sunday at 7 a.m. Have a great week, folks, and we'll see you then.